Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of AWS She Builds Tech Skills. My name is Kandyce Bohannon, one of your regular hosts here on the show. And today I'm really excited to have another specialist SA, Lauren, on the show to talk to us about some really cool stuff about using SageMaker Unified Studio. So welcome, Lauren. Thanks for being on the show with us today.
Yeah, Kandyce, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, let's just kind of kick this stuff off. And if anybody, our viewers here, let us know where you are dialing in from. I am based in the beautiful Twin Cities. I can see leaves changing. And then Lauren, why don't you introduce yourself as well as where you're from and what your job here at AWS is?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Lauren Mullennex. I'm a senior generative AI specialist solutions architect here at AWS. Been here a little over 5 years, and I'm dialing in from Denver, Colorado.
Beautiful. Good leaves. Do you have pretty leaves yet?
Yeah, good leaves. They've all pretty much changed. The weather here is a little odd this time of year, so it was like 80 degrees yesterday, and it's like 50 degrees today. So
Perfect.
yeah, a little strange. Yep.
Funny. Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show again. We do have one person. I'm going to say his name is PDO, coming in from Georgia, some North Carolina, from Jane, one of our moderators. She'll help us, answer questions in the chat and things like that. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop those in and we'll do our best to answer those. So today what we're going to be talking about is how Amazon Q Developer and MCP servers and cool stuff like that can be integrated into SageMaker Unified Studio. I brought Lauren on the show actually because I saw her do an internal demo. I'm a specialist SA for Q Developer and Kiro and some other stuff now too. That's a side note. And Lauren is for the SageMaker. Actually, you just go ahead and introduce yourself because I don't want to mess anything up. What do you cover here at AWS?
Yeah, so I'm part of the SageMaker AI team. We can talk a little bit more, I guess, as we go along of what that means compared to, SageMaker Unified Studio. Lots of SageMakers, if everyone is familiar. So I've covered everything end-to-end machine learning. SageMaker AI is our end-to-end machine learning service that we've had since 2017. And then with that, the rise of like generative AI and of course the age of agents, now everyone's trying to, integrate, new IDEs and Agentic AI essentially. So that's what essentially spurred the service team's decision to include Amazon Q Developer with MCP in SageMaker Unified Studio. So Amazon Q Developer have been in SageMaker Studio and Unified Studio are two different platforms for a little bit of some time, but the Q team has worked hard to add in model context protocol and a lot of additional features. So I think that's really great to help our customers accelerate development.
Yeah, absolutely. MCPs are so cool. I really love MCPs and agents. I did an episode on custom agents in Q Developer specifically before. Nice. And now I've been playing with Agent Core and it's just such an exciting time.
Yeah,
so can you explain to me, even on the inside, it's a little bit confusing how we got to SageMaker Unified Studio. Is this the coolest thing SageMaker wise now? Tell us a little bit about that evolution.
Yeah, so last year at reInvent time, which we're almost at reInvent, we launched SageMaker Unified Studio. So essentially that's our next generation of SageMaker that includes not just the machine learning side. So we still have SageMaker AI in there, but there's also, we wanted to be able to bring to customers data and analytics and generative AI as well, so that they are able to access their data sources, all their compute, all that in one essentially unified platform. So with SageMaker Studio, at least at the time, we don't have as much of an integration with like Apache Iceberg. So that's kind of the main, we've added Apache Iceberg. So anything that's like compatible, like open table format there, customers are able to access their data there, as well as a governance piece is really big too. So if anyone's familiar with like Data Zone, that's also what SageMaker Unified Studio is built on. So you're able to have this like publish subscribe model where you can access assets and all that. So it's also bringing in like the data piece, which is extremely important because there is no machine learning or really anything, agents or anything without data, obviously. So that's what SageMaker Unified Studio is. And that's why talking about that today, because the Q developer with MCP, integration is right now in only SageMaker Unified Studio. So not in Studio, but of course you can still utilize it if you would like. Pretty cool, integration, very easy to install. So I think that's what's great. The Q developer team has done. It's, pretty easy to get started.
Awesome. Yeah. I do, like, I saw the pictures after reInvent and like all the unified pieces of it, but it can be, we just got to keep everybody on our toes. We got stuff coming out all the time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So how about just a little touch in on your background? Like, how did you get to be a specialist SA in this GenAI space? Like, what'd you do before AWS even?
Yeah, my background is very diverse. It's all over the place, essentially. So pretty crazy that I'm here and at this time. I mean, I would have thought this 15 plus years ago when I was in college. So I actually have a science background. So plan was at the time to go to medical school, and then I just decided that was not that fun to keep going to school. So I ended up in tech because mostly I wanted to work at home at the time. That was really the main reason. I met someone who worked at home and I said, that seems cool. Technology was always fun. I had fun in some computer science classes, electives in college. And so ended up on the infrastructure side at first, then got more into the DevOps side and started getting involved in AWS. That was probably like 8-9 years ago. Outside of AWS at partner companies. And then, joined here like about 5.5 years ago. Machine learning just always been of interest. So I was doing some of that at my last company and move over to a specialist role so I could continue in that space and really, focus on working with customers with machine learning workloads. So it's definitely been a journey and every day is changing. Every month something is new. So, there was no MCP last year, I'm pretty sure, right? That's why Anthropic announced all this year. And as well as just all the new models that are coming out, like all the new features. So it's definitely, so it always keeps me on my toes and something always new to learn. So if anyone else out there is like, there's just so much, it's overwhelming. Yeah, we all feel the same way, but I think we make these tools to really help you so that you don't have to, know everything that's going on to help kind of accelerate. So you could just focus on your actual, domain specialties and not have to worry about like all these other crazy tools that are out there.
Yeah, it is a lot to keep up with. This morning, I wonder how late I am, but I think it happened this morning. Now there's a partnership between AWS and OpenAI. So
that was in the works for a few weeks, I think, but
okay.
Yeah, I think it officially got announced this morning. Yeah.
Awesome. But like, it's just constantly changing. Like so many things are changing all the time. I work on QDev, as I mentioned before, in Kiro. And people will sometimes ask me about some of the competitor tools. And I'm like, y'all, I'm keeping up with QDev. That is my main job. I can like peripheral pay attention to these things on the outside, but mostly it takes my full-time job to keep up with Q developer.
Yeah.
So we've talked a bit about MCP, super cool. I love MCP. And obviously I love Q developer and Kiro. The QCLI is absolutely my favorite. What are some of the trends that you've seen? Not just like, we can even talk about some of them that we've already talked about. And what is the impact of these trends that you've seen this year? Like, what do you think is kind of super cool?
Yeah, good question. I had a customer ask me this last week, and I was like, where do we even begin?
Where do we begin?
But I think, being in the world I'm in, mostly just SageMaker. Yeah, we hear obviously about Bedrock and Agent Core and all of that, but I think it's really like agent still. like Agentic AI, and how is that working with like IDEs such as Kiro, like Cursor, all of that. Especially the rise of like open source too with that. I think really embracing open source, within, with agents as well as just in general. There's just everything's moving so fast. So I think that's really important too, is that there's a lot of cool like open source tools and all that are coming out. And maybe, I'm not a huge part of the open source community, don't do a lot of contributions to certain, projects and all of that. But I think that's really cool that we're embracing that more and seeing a lot more of that, especially like in the agentic world. And also, what I focus a lot too is model customization. So I think that's still extremely important. There's a lot to be done, and I think we're still at like a very nascent stage with model customization and fine tuning. So really excited to see where that's going to be taking off. You definitely have a lot of customer conversations and just like a lot of innovation. It's pretty amazing what you can do now on the hardware we have and how quickly you can, improve a model just by updating some parameters essentially. So didn't really know much about this years ago. I know that's been around, it's a concept that's been around for a while, but mostly it was like limited to like academia. And so I think that's great that, more customers are embracing that and we're, helping them.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone watching, would love to hear about what you're using today in any of these spaces. What is your favorite MCP server? What kind of agents are you building? All of those sorts of things. One quick little thing on the open source thing. So Strands is something that we have actually made open source. I hear your cat also, by the way. Is he hungry?
Yeah, he of course wants to join in the middle of the day now. He's simply up.
That's how they do. It's okay if he joins. I love animals.
Should have told him that. Now he's coming.
So we have Strands open sourced. Love that. I think that is so great that we as AWS are taking more part in open source, like just open sourcing things. I think that's a really great approach. And then in our GitHub repository of MCPs under AWS Labs. So AWS Labs /MCP in GitHub, there's like 50 MCPs that help you integrate with AWS services. So yeah, I love seeing that we're just kind of moving and being a little bit more open there today.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got MCP, which I think is good. It makes integrations a lot easier. And yeah, Strands is super cool as well. Yeah. Like it's very easy to set up, and then you can, deploy it with Bedrock or SageMaker, which I think is cool as well. So yeah, I even set up some examples a few weeks ago. So
fun
stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to find time to play there. Agent Core and Strands. Like that's been my goal. I usually have Friday for my play day, and I get to build stuff. And that's what I have started working on just last week. So it'll be fun. What do you think? So we are also going to show a demo today. We have a couple of questions. So let me get us set up. So we are going to show a demo. When I say we, Lauren's going to show a demo. I'm going to ask some dumb questions. Just make sure that we're all following along. So we'll see a demo here in just a couple minutes. I do also see a question coming in from PDO. Can you explain more about Strands? Can you take a quick stab at this, Lauren? Like just a high level, what is it and how does it integrate with some of the other things?
Yeah. I mean, so it's open source, as Kandyce mentioned, right? Way to, set up agents. So open source SDK, and that's really it. I'm not a Strands expert, but it's called Strands because kind of like, DNA, essentially, like two strands kind of like woven together. And you can create, agents. I mean, it's like another way, just like Crew AI, and then you can just deploy on really whatever you would like. So, I mean, it can work with Agent Core as well. I guess we didn't talk about too much about Agent Core. I'm not an expert at Agent Core, but it is GA now. And so what's great about Agent Core too, since it's not open source, but we were talking about, open source and embracing other frameworks and all that, is that you're not limited anymore to like just Bedrock agents, which are, proprietary to your AWS. You can use, any framework, any, agent tool that you want. So that's also could work with them with Strands or like Crew AI or like any of the other popular like agent frameworks out there. So
awesome. I had I don't remember if I was on the show last. Anyways, one of my recent shows that we did, I had a couple of people from the Agent Core team on, and they were showing some of their code and things like that. And Agent Core and Strands kind of go together, right? Like Strands is just another framework for orchestrating the agents kind of behind the scenes. So think of it like that. Like in that Agent Core demo, they were leaning a lot into those Strands, like they were pulling in the Strands libraries and things like that, the SDK there. So they kind of work together. And then you can check out the, there's like a repo. If you go to strandsagents.com, maybe our moderators will drop that in for us, but strandsagents.com, you can learn more about Strands specifically. And check out some of our past episodes about Agent Core. Actually, I also had Claire Liguori on a while ago. It was still warm outside. And she's kind of our internal technical champion for Strands. And so if you want to learn more about DevOps cool stuff and how Strands got started, try to find that. Her name is Claire. I'm going to say Liguori. That'll get you close enough.
Yeah, you put some cool episodes on. It's again, wish you could dive deep in all this all the time. There's just like so much, as you said, as you mentioned, to just keep up in each of our little, domains. So
yeah, but it's good that we can be on the show and kind of like share the info with each other and at least get like a little taste for it. And then people can dive deeper into it if they're super interested. So here's the Strands agents URL. If you'd like to take a look at that, I think it only supports Python today. I think
so too. Yeah.
Okay. So that could be a slight limitation. Okay. Are you ready to do a demo then, Lauren? Let's see this Q stuff in SageMaker Unified Studio.
Yeah, let's go for it. Hopefully this will be super clear because I think it's very straightforward as far as like setup and using it. But yeah, I think you got my screen up, right? So give a little bit of like background first, actually. So this is SageMaker Unified Studio. So I won't get too much into SageMaker Unified Studio because, to be honest, we could talk about this for probably like 2 hours, everything, and that's not why everyone is here today. But essentially, this is the platform. Mainly, I just want to show. So like, here's all our like a data. So there's this thing called this Lakehouse that I was talking about a bit earlier. So this is actually built in like Apache Iceberg. So again, like open table format. Anything that supports like Apache Iceberg APIs you could have in here. But like I wanted to show this because we have a Glue data catalog and then I've loaded some tables already. It's just a demo environment, so not a ton in here, but yeah, I have some tables here for some different like data sets, some sales data sets, diabetes data sets. And mostly I just wanted to show this because if this is a real production environment, this could get pretty complex. You could have a lot of data in here. So you could have your data warehouse like with Redshift or S3 buckets and also S3 tables. There's also like a ton of compute options as well. So this is again an environment for analytics, ETL, right? Generative AI, even here we have actual Bedrock integration, as well as of course SageMaker AI. So there's a lot that you can do here. There's Spark support, all of that. So that's just a bit of a background here. And then how it's set up right now in Unified Studio, we have this concept of what are called like spaces. And essentially this is just like an IDE with all your files and data and everything else. So that's all a space is in SageMaker Unified Studio. So I have a code editor, which is just open source VS Code, and then a Jupyter Lab environment as well. So all this, reason why I'm showing this is because Q is automatically integrated into this actual SageMaker image, which is just a Docker image. So there's all these different libraries and stuff like that, if you're not familiar with Docker, and everything that you need. So Q's already like baked into this. So that's all I wanted to show really there. And then when you open up your actual, IDE, so here I am in Jupyter Lab, you're able to access Q. There's really two options. So Kandyce, I know you're saying you're a big fan of, the CLI. So we do have that. We have the Q CLI already in here, so you could access through the terminal.
Awesome.
And you could just enter in a command. So there it is. I won't get all the details of like Q developer, but essentially there's a free tier here that's already in here, so you don't have to even pay for this. And then you can access Q directly. So let's, I guess, backtrack a little bit. Why am I even showing this? Why do we do this? Like, what's the point of having this in here? So I showed SageMaker, Unified Studio, like the lake house and all of that. And so MCP, Model Context Protocol, is just a way for your AI applications to act with external data sources, APIs, other like applications like you can have Cursor or like Claude Chat or something, other IDEs. So it becomes like very complicated then if you're a user to come in here and then be able to understand like what's directly in this workspace, we'll say. And so you have all your code, you have your files, you have like your data sources, all this. So you come in here as like let's just say like an AI developer, and you don't know what exactly has been done in here. So with Model Context Protocol, it understands the like context of all your files, resources, data, compute, etc. So that'll make a bit more sense throughout the demo, but that's essentially why we built this, because previously, when Amazon Q Developer didn't have MCP, it was just really difficult to understand like where a like notebook was for machine learning, where what data sources you're referencing. So that's why I think this is extremely like powerful here. So that's just a little bit of background. So I'm using Amazon Q right now, the CLI, and it says I'm chatting with Claude 4 Sonnet. So you could change the model if you would like. I'll keep Claude 4 since that's pretty new. What's also built in here are some tools. So you could take a look and see like what exactly we built in here. So the main update here is that we have this local MCP server for Unified Studio. So this understands like the context, as I was mentioning, all those files, resources, code, data sources, compute, etc. So we've essentially built this based on Amazon Q Developer with MCP. So everything that Amazon Q Developer with MCP has, it's available here as well in this Unified Studio local MCP. So being able to call like AWS APIs or like AWS documentation, that's what it's able to understand.
So really quickly, one of my favorite additional MCPs to use just outside of SageMaker Unified Studio, because I haven't done this yet, is the AWS Knowledge MCP, and it can like look at the APIs and the docs and the blogs and all of those sorts of things.
Yeah, I know it's in here somewhere, right? So you're talking about like, I know there's a whole like GitHub, but here's actual like documentation for the MCP servers too. And I know it's in here somewhere.
It's one of my favorite
knowledge ones, and there's a lot in here. So that's kind of why I pulled this up too to show you. So there's like under AI machine learning, there's like Bedrock Agent Core, MCP server, and all of that. Here we go, the knowledge MCP server. So that's pretty cool. The API MCP server, like super important. So I'll show that in just a second of how you can configure some additional MCP servers too. So right now by default, there's just this Unified Studio like local MCP server in here. And then we also have some like built-in tools. You could have like additional tools as well. And tools are just a way to like functions to connect to really anything, external data sources, APIs, etc. So you could have your own, add your own tools to here too as well. Since this is a SageMaker is like built on a Linux environment. I think it's OpenBSD, if I recall. So there's Bash, of course, and then these like file, commands to read and write, all of that. So that's just a little bit of the underlying like architecture here. Awesome. So this is a QCLI. I won't show too much here because it's really a matter of preference. If you would like to use the QCLI, or I popped this up a second ago, which is where I'm going to show most of the demo, is what probably most users are used to. I like the CLI as well. I'm started off in like Linux environments. I still use like not PowerShell, that's Windows, but I use like Bash and all of that, and shell scripting and stuff. So that's what I prefer. But I know like a lot of users want the QChat like experience.
Yes.
So we have both. And why do we have both? Because really it's just like a matter of preference, I'd say, of what you want to use. If you prefer to, have that, command line, interface, use a terminal, you can, or you can utilize QChat here. So that's all you have to do. It's just, there's this little icon for, Q developer. You can see it's an Amazon Q AI assistant. Hopefully that's big enough. You can also like access it here. And it's, you could just start typing in natural language queries, natural language, prompts essentially. So that's how you interact with it. And I showed you, what MCP servers and tools were built in here, but you can also like add additional ones too. So, Kandyce, you mentioned you like the knowledge, MCP server. So, go over the documentation because I have all this memorized. And then like there's information about, adding all this in. So you put the command and like the argument here. That's how you configure it all. So name it something, command, arguments, all of that. And then you save that, and then you have additional MCP servers. So I added this one because I use this a lot. It's a data processing MCP server. So I manage, Glue data catalog because there's a ton of that obviously in Unified Studio. So that's what I added here. So there's no like limitation of how many MCP servers you can add. Right. You can also do this through the CLI as well. There's a file that you edit the configuration. So I think that's pretty handy and definitely like pretty helpful because we keep adding new MCP servers, which is really awesome.
I will say, let me add just a couple of things. So the file, because this is now my area, so let me just add like one level. The file that you change for your CLI is an mcp.json config. Copy and paste.
Somewhere in here. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I don't remember all this, but I do have a blog post that I think will be referenced by the, moderators because and the URL is pretty long, but when we introduced this here in September, like this talks more about all the setup and everything. And we actually have like a YouTube recording, I think somewhere that I don't remember the link, but awesome. Of this like demo. But here in this blog, there's like GIFs and everything. And I have like configure MCP servers right here. And I think these are the latest files you said, right? MCP.json or for QChat, there's a different one. Yeah, QCLI. So
yeah. And then I sometimes caution people don't put all the MCPs in there because they do count towards your context window. The one caveat to consider there when you're trying to do something with a large file, like a large code base or something, like choose your MCPs wisely or use custom agents to load only what you need in that moment.
Yeah, totally. So good point. So I was just showing, it's Claude 4 like Sonnet. So that's Bedrock, right? So obviously there's context windows, limitations for each of those models, no matter like what model you're using.
There's always a context limit. It doesn't matter. Like eventually you're going to hit your context limit. So one question too that came through here through the comments, if we can just kind of maybe weave in some tips as we go through, but we're going to say Payupal. Sounds good. is asking, what's the best way to prepare for the ML engineer certification? I do have this one, but I took it when it was still in beta and I kind of forgot. But if there's like an ML engineer part of your demo, just kind of double click on that if you don't mind, Lauren. Or if you have tips, provide those.
ML engineer certification, is that one new, or is that the same one that they've, okay, yeah, that I don't know.
Yeah, it's new this year, I think.
Yeah, so see how up to date I am. Not up to date on my certification stuff anymore, to be honest, because I kind of live it. But this could actually help you probably a little bit. I mean, we're not giving like test answers. It's not built into the MCP server, but could help you since it's grabbing like documentation,
Right.
MCP servers, and like knowledge, and also like all of that. But I'd say, yeah, I don't know about that test specifically, but all the stuff is probably, I'm sure, like on it regarding SageMaker and all of that. So you could use Q Chat to help you.
Yes. So use that AWS Knowledge MCP. That will definitely help. And then what I remember from it, I did take it like maybe, I don't know, the beginning of the year or a year ago. Everything was moving together. I did it when it was still in beta. It's more of the ML ops sort of things. So I think that this stuff. Like you could totally pass this test if you wanted to make time for it in your copious amounts of spare time. But anyways, just as you're going through, think those through, and then Payupal, check out that MCP server to maybe ask it questions and learn some more about those sorts of things. Okay, sorry, continue.
No, all good. And definitely like keep the questions coming. Any questions are good questions. So, all right. So gave a little bit of background. Hopefully that's somewhat clear. Just more like FYI. Also, if you see this is like, it's agentic, right? So it's agentic coding, which essentially means like it will make changes to files and all that. So if you want to turn this off, I mean, if you wanted to read only, you could, I guess. That's just something else. You can also use like @ to add context. So I have all these like, files and folders in here. Again, it's like Linux based. This is built on EBS. So you can, if I already have like a bunch of notebooks, this is a environment I use a bit. So that's another way to like reference specifically. If you would like, you could @ and then select that like file, notebook, script, whatever. So to start, I'm just going to give an example. So like I have this, you can see I have this notebook here. This is actually a notebook that's uploaded to all Unified Studio spaces. So it's just an example notebook. It's really cool because it shows you like how to use Unified Studio, like the organization, all of that, what this all means. And the reason why I have this up is I want to show that I like ran something and I made a syntax error on purpose so that, and hopefully this is a live demo. So again, hopefully this will work, but I could say to fix the error in the notebook, and we'll see if this works exactly, but it shows you the actual context. So it says that this notebook's open. It can see the syntax error in the notebook, and it's in the pandas data frame creation, which is correct, because that's what it's doing. And I removed some parentheses just to get a quick error. And we'll see if this fixes it. And to be honest, you talked about context window, and I was overloading this earlier for this demo just to practice and make sure everything was good. So it might not fix it exactly right now because of some issues. I probably need to restart. So again, bear with me, live demo, but it understands this, and it should be fixing this cell. So if this is not airing out at the moment, probably need to restart, then it will fix that error. So, and then the notebook will be updated. So I'm not sure what's going on right here, but we could stop that, for example. But I think that's really cool about the Q chat is that you don't have to like copy and paste this entire error. You could just say, hey, I have this notebook, or fix this error, and it will automatically know what's going wrong in this cell.
Awesome.
So that's pretty awesome example in the blog as well. But yeah, for some actual like real world use cases. So I'd say like personas here for Unified Studio, or like, data engineer, data scientist as well, machine learning engineer, could be a business analyst. I mean, really kind of all kinds of different personas. But I'll say that, I'm a data engineer coming in here, and I need to essentially do some, ETL, some, data processing, some like, cleanup of my data. And I have like a data set that I've already uploaded. So I don't really like want to, I'm not like much of a coder, we'll say, or even if I am, I just don't want to write like a bunch of SQL and all of that. So this is a quick way to like get started. I'm going to go over to my blog because I don't remember the exact like prompt I used. And there's an example here. So I'm this, data engineer, and I'm going to grab this prompt and just copy and paste it and then explain it. So.
And if you're worried about context, open up another chat session thingy with that plus sign up at the top, and then your context is separate. So
that's probably a good idea. I just did that again, I thought, but maybe we'll just do it again just because. Yeah. So, yeah. And I know like it understands your context, and like you can save it, right, Kandyce? I know there's all these cool like Q developer commands. I don't know, right? You can like load your context and all that. Right. I don't remember them. So that's all pretty cool, but like it understands, the context, obviously, in this chat history. So right. Here I'm gonna say I'm a data engineer. So I'm just giving like a description of what I want to do, EDA, exploratory data analysis. And I specifically am just saying I want to use this data set, diabetic data set that I uploaded earlier. So you could also just, start from scratch and just ask, Q to, query all the data sets in here, or, list all of them. So that's also another option that we have like in the blog and as an example. And then here I'm just providing like a bit more like, context. Again, like prompt engineering, still super important. So because of context window, as well as you still need to like, guide these models to really, what you want them to do. So providing like, as much information as possible to an extent, but finding a list of connections and note down their names, just because this is like the first time I'm in this environment. So that's just really important to kind of note here. It just helps. Again, this is just an example, and this is non-deterministic, which means that your results, of course, are going to vary. And then I want to create a notebook here. So I'm just referencing that getting started notebook I had a second ago for just best practices, so I can understand like what's going on here. And that's really it. Handles missing values, perform descriptive analysis, all that. All this is all like optional here at the end. I wanted to create a README and create a new working directory here too, just for organizational purposes. So going to enter that in, and then you'll see that Q developer is going to actually, tell you what it's doing. So you can actually see, I don't know what's the actual term, Kandyce. I can actually think of what the trace, I guess, or something of what it's actually, doing. So it has this directory. It knows, let me get the existing getting started notebook. And then here we're getting the AWS context. So this is part of, there's nothing here to really show, but this is part of the Unified Studio local MCP. So it has this AWS context provider. So that's where it's going to understand all the connections here in Unified Studio, and then it will list them out. And this will just take a few seconds. So it looks at glue connections.
And you drop a couple of little comments. Keo here. Yes, we're thinking. And then Itachi, who's been on the stream a few times, it is always the live demos where things break, but we're doing great. We're doing great.
Yeah, that is true. But I do have all those actually run before, but yeah, live demos are always, fun, right? So this is going to like obviously take some time. This is the first time I ran this, here. So it's found this now. You can see it's like taking a look at the glue tables, all that. And if you remember earlier here, I have the diabetic data set here. In glue catalog. It's right there. So it found it.
Awesome.
Which is cool, I think, especially if I had like, hundreds of these, thousands of these. And maybe I don't even know what's in here. That would be kind of more of a real world use case too. I just want to, build a data pipeline, and I have like a use case, and I don't know what, like, I think there's a data set in here, or I just need to do some, exploratory data analysis. That's what you do. So it's creating a connection summary markdown, just so it could tell you that. And it's going to create a notebook for us to run. So not sure, this usually doesn't take too long, but
we got another question that's a long one. So
okay.
I'm going to pop it up.
I can take a look, I guess, too, when I'm not looking at both
Oh, no, it's
screens.
okay. I put it on the screen if you can see this one.
Yeah.
So Lion Artist, how do we apply AI workflows across the entire end-to-end life cycle? Dataset creation, model experimentation to production deployment. Where do they lose efficiency compared to humans? Long question, but maybe just at least answer a couple of pieces of that, because you dabble across the whole life cycle, right?
Yeah, I think this really depends like on the use case. Also, like we're seeing a bit of like fine tuning, agents as well. So that's a whole kind of like another topic. But where they start to lose efficiency compared to human fine tuning of existing code. I think it's like nobody likes this answer, but it always like depends on the use case, right?
Right.
Because you can probably say the same with Q developer. Maybe it's obviously worse for specific tasks more than other tasks, and then combining with agents. So like when I get asked all the time, I mean, number one question for like fine tuning, for example, is when to fine tune or when to stop fine tuning. And again, we have some ideas like of certain use cases, for example, getting a little bit off topic here, I guess, from Q, but it's like for code generation and review. That's often like a fine-tuning use case. Like content moderation could definitely be a fine-tuning use case, as well as usual like fine-tuning use cases I know of are like really domain specific. So fraud detection, definitely financial services a lot, as well as healthcare and life sciences. So like medical terminology, like all these models are not trained on proprietary information and specific like domain information a lot. So I guess saying that, to get back to the original question of how can agentic AI workflows be applied, I think they can be applied really to so many different use cases, probably like an endless amount at this point. But when they start to lose efficiency, I think we're kind of talking about maybe two different things. I think it kind of depends. Like you can use agents with fine tuning, but it's kind of the question of when does prompt engineering versus RAG versus fine tuning, when's it best to use each. And I think that really depends. Oh, made the question long so QDemmer could run. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And it finished. I also have this, I've ran this before in here, so like I can still share it anyway, but here we go. It's completed now, and it created all this in a directory. And so here it tells me the Q deliverable. So I got my notebook that I wanted, my, README, requirements.txt, all this. So here's my working directory. So this is the one. So we can take a look at it. All that of what Q has done. So yeah, you can have it. So far, looks pretty good because I've looked at this data set a lot. It's a good example that we've used a lot when I used to work with life sciences customers a ton. So this is a data set that is multi-class classification. So it is determining if a patient needs to be readmitted based on different features. So if they need to be readmitted or not, so more than 30 days or less than 30 days. Based on like a bunch of like demographics and medical information, all of that. So that's essentially like what this data set is. And so here it gives a bunch of outline of it. And here's the actual like notebook. And I won't run this end to end because it will take some time, but I will show you the output in another notebook that's similar from what I ran earlier. But it tells you exactly what's being done, and you could ask for more information, or if this actually looks right. You still need to verify, of course, doing data quality assessment, missing values that I wanted, getting some statistics, all that. So let me jump back here to, I ran this earlier today, and here's like the actual output here. And it's, ML, right? Generative AI. So there are definitely like some hiccups sometimes, but often, if there was an error, like I showed earlier, I just asked it to fix it, and eventually it fixes the error, gets it to run. So here we go, all these different feature analysis. I know I'm going through this really quickly, but you could, run this yourself too, or take a look at the, examples in the blog. So this is, really helpful if you're just coming in here and just say, hey, what is this data set actually doing? You could say like feature correlation, like super important, because like how are this all related to, all these features related to each other? The number of diagnoses, readmission risk factors, that's actually what we really care about pretty much with this data set. So average hospital stay, and then like data quality assessments, all of that. So, and here it gives a nice summary. So it tells you all about this. So you can, get all the information you need, maybe like too much information, maybe not enough, really kind of depends on your use case. So now that I ran that, cool. Maybe that's all you need to do. You just did some, EDA on this. But now, say I come in here and I'm a machine learning engineer, and I actually want to build a, machine learning prediction model using SageMaker. So I have understood that that the data engineer in my team has already, done exploratory data analysis on this data set. So I'm going to come in here and say, cool, that's great. So now I don't really have to do any of that work, and take that output from the data engineer into account. So here's my example prompt here. And I'm saying that I'm a machine learning engineer. So again, as a persona, just listing that out, saying what I want to do. So I'm taking that output from the data engineer and that notebook, and then creating a notebook to build a diabetes prediction model using Amazon SageMaker. So just providing some more like context, model evaluation, again, creating a README, all of that.
So a couple of things, posted the blog up here again. So Lauren is referring back to that. So when she said you could do this on your own, check out the blog and run through it by yourself. I also want to call out some of that context or prompt engineering that you're doing there. Like when you tell it what they are, when you tell Q what person he's being right then, it's a really great way to get some of that expertise kind of built in. I've talked about custom agents, obsessed with custom agents. And those are essentially what you can do with that is have like a system prompt to say, okay, you're an ML engineer and these are the things that you're good at. Here's the MCPs that you have access to. So that is part of his prompt and its context, his or her, its Q's, I'm talking about Q. It's part of their context and their knowledge like the whole entire time. So that's a super good best practice that I just wanted to call out, like, good job, I guess.
No, thank you. And like definitely a good point to call out, I should have mentioned, is that's why we're saying this persona, right? So you can build in that so it actually references that context, because again, there's like different MCP servers and all of that. And here I'm referencing to use, SageMaker, because it might not know that there's, SageMaker and all of that. Not sure, again, I think I've overloaded here Q a lot this morning, probably testing some things. So, but, it's creating essentially like machine learning, notebook end to end. So it's going to process, data, get it all like prepared, feature engineering, all doing that so that we can utilize SageMaker, and it understands like the SageMaker, Python SDK already. So there's like, really you could build all this. You could create a fine-tuning notebook. I've actually used Q Developer quite a bit for like demos and everything. And it's created a lot of cool notebooks. Sometimes it's not 100% still, I'll say, because nothing's 100%.
Right.
You don't necessarily want 100% accuracy also. But that's, it's very helpful, like, beneficial, tool. So this is probably taking a bit because, again, it's a live demo. And of course, this would take a bit now when I'm showing it. But I'm going back to, I ran this earlier, the same command. And you can see like I had to create some scripts and stuff. So there were some things I needed to update, but this is the actual like notebook that I created. I mean, a version of this. So it tells me, again, like I could, add more markdown if I wanted to, understand what was going on here, but build a predictive model for 30-day readmission risk. That's a data set that we understood. There was some missing values information that was wrong that I had to correct, but it's already like understands the, SDK. And we're gonna, do essentially like end-to-end machine learning, workflow. So we're gonna train a model here, here in a second when we get to the training portion. So this is all like data processing, all that. So training the model, using the estimator. This is all like SageMaker specific SDK. So it's doing training here and checking out like, feature importance, which is super important, and then deploying the model here as well. So I did that without writing a single line of code.
Amazing.
So I think that's pretty awesome. Here, did it actually run? No, maybe it's still running, but yeah, I think like the best way to see how this works for you is like try it out, definitely. Also something that I didn't share is that this is a little bit off topic, but I'm doing all this like in the SageMaker Unified Studio environment. And you might be like, I don't really want to like log into the console, do this. I mean, I've definitely heard that from customers. So you can actually use like, as of today, just local VS Code. But we're, looking into adding other IDEs as well. So if you have your local VS Code environment and you have like, shortcuts and your own, configuration and all that, you can actually connect directly to your Unified Studio domain. And then like QChat's already like in there too.
Cool.
So you can do this all locally and utilize SageMaker Compute and all of that without like logging into the console at all, and actually have a separate like blog for that too. I won't show like all the connections and all of that, but yeah, so you could run this like directly in local VS Code as well. So in your local dev environment. So I think that's super helpful.
There was also a question from Lion Artist again. Could this be done with Kiro then? Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep, that's what's definitely been looking into that.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, Kiro, and I don't know what you have to share, Kandyce, about Kiro and all that. But yeah, I know that we're looking at like integrating Kiro, definitely. It's like, the next phase.
Yeah. And based on what you just said, if it can connect with VS Code, I would imagine it could do with Kiro. Not tested. Very big. Very big there.
Yeah, there's essentially, yes, could work with other IDEs too. And we're like working on more integrations. Just right now, it's only been like fully like vetted from end to end with VS Code, because it has to use remote SSH and all of that in a toolkit. So yeah, that's just what we've released so far.
Cool. That's awesome. We're down to like 5-ish minutes left. So if anyone has any more questions, I see one coming in. Please drop in any more questions. Lauren, I feel like we got through at least a good portion of this, probably your whole demo. You got to model deployment, though we didn't deploy. Like it's there, right? Did we hit the end?
It's actually, yeah. So, I mean, I ran this is a whole notebook I ran earlier. So, I mean, there was actual like model now that's deployed. But yeah, this is now it actually completed this notebook, right? So now I have the machine learning, notebook, so I can show everyone that it actually did create this.
Sweet.
So yeah, here it goes. And there's a bunch of different like scripts. Like it even creates your request. It does everything that you need, like all your prereqs, all of that. So then it created this one. So this one looks a little bit different than my other one. So again, non-deterministic, but this one actually looks maybe a little bit better than the other one it created. But yeah, it's got like Spark in here. So that's kind of cool. This is off topic too, but we have like different connections directly in the notebook. So you could run Python, SQL, PySpark directly in the notebook, which is unique to Unified Studio. So that's why it's running Spark in here. And then some of the cells are Python. So that's kind of cool. Awesome. But yeah, you could run this. And again, if there's like an issue, which perhaps there might be just like a little bit of, not understanding, maybe like something in the SDK that's been updated or something. You just ask it to fix it or provide like reference if and then you can, edit. It's a perfect notebook that you can edit and export and do whatever you want, and then create even, MLOps pipeline.
Yeah, awesome. I tend to use Q a lot to help me fix errors because I don't like fixing errors and I'm not good at syntax. I don't have stuff memorized, right? And then I also use Q to kind of explore. So those are a couple of the, key places where I like to use Q. Like I'll give it a prompt and say, this is what I want to build. What are my options? Give me pros and cons and stuff like that. And then sometimes you get things that you wouldn't have thought of on your own, right? So I think
I completely agree. I mean, you could definitely use this like it's a good starting point. Just, you can create a whole notebook as you said, but I do it a lot for like syntax issues too, or really like exploring as well. Like this is what I'm thinking of building. Does this kind of make sense? I mean, it's you still have to have obviously your own knowledge, but it's a good way to get like another like, second pair of eyes in a way, I think.
Yeah. Okay, we did get this question from Lion Artist. We've got like 3 minutes left, but I'll let you answer this. I have thoughts, but can we be prescriptive on the training and inferences to use specific GPUs or the Trainium? Probably inferentia is what they mean right there.
Yeah.
And would it know to use that? Like, can you be that prescriptive?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to tell it. Like here, like for fine tuning, for example, I'm kind of like, what's the minimum, instance size I could use based on like my, parameters, like, and then it provides like some options, or, I want to do distributed training and kind of as an understanding. I have an understanding for the most part of like what will be best, but here, I think when I ran this, it did like a general like instance type. I mean, this is just a machine learning example, so it's obviously like CPU, like general. I think it was M5 large, but you could tell it to, or say like, what's the smallest instance, and provide that, and it will provide some like recommendations or do that for you.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. So it's all about your prompt. You can tell it to maybe make it cost optimized, or
how can I optimize costs? How can I like optimize my code? All of that. That's very like helpful. I think we even have like, in the blog just to make sure, security, right? Definitely like top of mind. So make sure your code is secure. And it generates pretty good code, but, check it out, review the code.
Keep the human in the loop. Like just make sure
exactly.
Keep an eye on it, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're pretty close to the end of time, like a minute and a half left. So I think we can go ahead and say our goodbyes. Really appreciate the audience's questions. That was good engagement, and I felt like we covered a lot of things. And Lauren, I really appreciate when you were like, this is kind of off topic, but you can also do this. I think those are important things that happen during live demos that you don't really get in a polished blog. So thank you for doing those sorts of things for us. And thanks for being on the show.
Of course. Thanks for having me, and hopefully everyone learned something new. But use Q Developer with MCP. Try it out Unified Studio, or just try out Q Developer with MCP and try out all the MCP servers out there.
Absolutely.
Crazy what you can build.
You can build something. I think next week, I'm almost positive. Yes, next week we're actually doing an MCP focused episode. So
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's going to be very good. Brittany Wolfram is the host. I forgot our guest names right now, but they're going to be talking about using MCP servers. So if you want to get deep into that, come back. Same time, same place next week, Monday. It's 11:30 Central for me. You can do your time zone stuff. And hope to see you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Great. Bye.